Okay, YouTubers, space detectives, space geeks, space freaks, and pareidolia police. Today we are doing another quick game of interplanetary I Spy on Mars and Gale crater at a relatively new image. And what we have is another one of these. Now I've got loads of these on my channel. These heads and skulls, and some of them are carved, some of them are sort of grave markers, some of them are figurines. Some of them are actual calcified or fossilized heads, some are mummified. And this one is, I think, mummified. Now, let me show you it first before we do anything else. Let me show you it in here. Here it is. Now, I've called this the Mars Trooper. And this is from Sol 2635. It's from a GIGAPAN. And we have here what looks like a head in a helmet, and you can clearly see the shape of the helmet here with the face inside. We've got two eyes, one here and one here. We have a nose here. Okay, we have two nostrils, one here, one here, but the face looks like it's been smashed in or broken, and perhaps there would have been a visor on this helmet. You can actually see the edge of the helmet really clearly here. And what I've done is I've added a colour filter to this just to make it stand out, and I've increased the contrast and brightness. You can see the edge of the helmet there. Now, was there a visor on this before? Perhaps a glass visor or perspex or something similar, some kind of transparent material. It looks like there may have been. In fact, there is something down below it here, just here, which may be part of it, just here, and also here, who knows. But what we have is another head in a helmet. Now, I have found loads of these, and what I will do, at the end of the video, I'll put some clips of some of the others I've found of mummified heads inside helmets, okay? Some of them are quite astonishing. Some of them don't look human. This looks like a human, although size-wise, I think this is probably a bit smaller than the human head. This, I think, is probably only about 6 inches instead of about 9 or 10. So it's hard to say in the image exactly how big it is, but it's not tiny, but it's not big either. It's kind of medium small, I would say. Let me show you the GIGAPANs where you can view it. I'll put links down below to these. As always, you can check this on your mobile phone or tablet or whatever. You can click on the link and go to this. There's two here, both by Neville Thompson. There's this one, 2635, and there's also this one, which is 2635-2639. Okay, so this is a mixture of two sets of images, and you can see where I've clipped it from this. But this one is actually slightly better, I think. It's been colour filtered slightly with a slightly blue filter, and looks more natural to me. Although this is probably nearer the real colour. Who's to say? we don't really know. I think the original images that came from the Rover were in black and white. Here's the original set here. I will find the individual shot of it in this set when I find it. There's a lot of images here to look through. But they're all in black and white, and they've got this kind of grid pattern on them. If I show you one of them now. So when you look at them, they've got this grid, but if you get the level of zoom right, they're actually pretty clear. And but they're in black and white. So these GIGAPANs, it seems, have been colour filtered to give them a more natural kind of rocky kind of look. But we don't really know what colour this thing is. So this is why I'm showing you both of them, because we got this bluer one and this kind of browner one here. And what I've done is I've kind of amalgamated the two in this image to make it look more sort of natural. And this may be actually more like the real colour with the sort of lighter kind of brownish kind of fleshy material here of the face, and the helmet, which is more sort of bluish colour, like a bluey grey colour. So who knows what the real colours are, but it's not the colours that are giving us the detail, it's the actual shape and shadows that are giving us the detail. And let's get it nice and close, because even in the raw image here, if I go in closely, you can actually see the eyes, there's one here obviously, and another one here. You can actually see them quite clearly. Even in the so-called raw image here, and you can see the edges of this this helmet protecting the face here. You've got a sort of cheek guard here. So it's all there, all the detail is there. I'm not adding any detail to this. As far as I know, no one else has published this so far, so this is a new find. I found it a couple of weeks ago, on the 30th of January, and it's been sitting in a folder waiting to be published with a bunch of other things I found. But there's so much in this GIGAPAN that I've been going through the whole GIGAPAN over and over again and keep finding more things to show you. So I'll show you a few of those as well. There's lots of weird stuff in this GIGAPAN, and I have shown some of it before in previous videos. If you go to my channel on YouTube and go back through my videos, my recent videos, and flick through, there are some other finds from this exact GIGAPAN, mainly this one here, Mars Rover fixed reptilian craniums found. So there are 2 reptilian craniums in this same GIGAPAN. I'll show you where to look for those. And there's just loads and loads of weird stuff. So let's get on with it. What I'll do, I'll zoom out to show you what part of the GIGAPAN to look at. Okay, now this is a bit jerky, this GIGAPAN, because this is a different type of GIGAPAN. The way it moves around, it's actually much quicker to move around, but it does get a bit jerky. So there's a group of rocks here to look at. You've got a sort of line of debris coming in a sort of diagonal line here, and a bunch of larger rocks around it. Okay, and it's sort of in the middle of that. And if I zoom right out, you get an idea of how small this might be. Okay, now how far away is this from the rover? 20 feet away, 30, probably 20 or 30 feet away. So this could actually be human size. I don't know the exact distance of the rover, so this I would say is anything between about 4 and about 10 inches in size. So it could be human size, but it could be about half human size. Don't know exactly, don't have a measure guide for this. So actually the size with a lot of these things isn't that important. What is important is the detail and what we can see in the images. And even in this, you can actually see the eyes even clearer on this one. Zoom right in. You can see the eye detail there, either side of this nose. But it's weird because the nose, it's almost like there's a breathing apparatus attached over the nose or something coming up over it. Like a part of the, like a face mask or part of the helmet or something, like maybe that's some kind of breathing gear. There's some interesting details in there, and if we go back to this at the minute, I've highlighted them a bit with contrast, and I've sharpened the image up as well. But you can clearly see there's some interesting structure on top of the helmet here, and it's sort of, you've got this very straight edge coming along here. We've got an ear part here sticking out. Unfortunately, we've got this rock here kind of obscuring some of it, which is kind of getting in the way a bit. But basically, we've got a chin coming down here. We've got the bottom, the sort of mouth area of the helmet here. We've also got, let's go in a bit closer, something there sticking across. Don't know what that's part of. It may be part of some kind of apparatus. There's not a huge amount of detail here, but there is enough to determine that this is a person in a helmet. And it's not the only one. I found probably about a dozen so far with helmets with the faces or heads still inside, okay, in various states of mummification, okay. But you can see this nose part coming down, and you can see 2 nostrils here. Now, is that his actual nose? I assume it's a man, could be a woman. Is it the person's nose? Or is this part of the actual helmet or breathing gear that this person seemed to have been wearing? You've got some good detail here, this part here, coming across, and the edge coming up there, really clear. And even in the GIGAPAN image, which hasn't been enhanced very much, it's just had a bit of colour correction and contrast added, I think, and sharpness. Even in that, you can see these details pretty clearly. Okay, it's all there, So I'm not making this up. This is real. Like all the stuff on my channel is real. Whether you agree with me or not as to what it might be is another matter, but it is down to interpretation. A lot of people are saying these things are all just rocks, when these things have got eyes and rows of teeth and ears and helmets, and some of them are wearing belts, some of them have got goggles on, and stuff like that as well. Really crazy stuff. Almost as if these were kind of captured and just buried up to their heads in the sand as some kind of torture or something. That could be one possible explanation for it. Perhaps they were caught in battle and buried in the sand and just left there to die, just left there to die of exposure or be eaten by insects or something. Dark Gar actually said a good comment the other day on one of my videos, my last video, saying that in some countries they would bury you up to your chin in sand and then put honey on your face, and then the ants would come along and insects would come along and then just basically eat you alive, which is pretty gruesome, but that used to happen on Earth. Yeah. That used to happen to people. My uncle, my great uncle, one of them, was captured by the Japanese in World War II. He was an RAF pilot. He was shot down over Burma and was captured by the Japanese and ended up in a prison camp. And you saw many of his friends actually beheaded or tortured, buried in sand up to the chin, and left out in the sun for days. And often they would die from exposure or just get severe sunburn, and they'd all be blistered up and then just die of dehydration or whatever. But there we are. That's another story. Who knows what's going on here on Mars? But this detail down below looks interesting. We've got parts down here as well, which may be something to do with this helmet. Interesting details going on here. Of course, most of this stuff around is just rocky fragments like we see all over Gale crater, as we've seen in many, many other images. So there we are, the Mars Trooper. So that's that. There we are. Now, there it is. Now, to orientate yourself, you sort of go between these two big rocks here. Well, that one actually looks like a very large fossil, and then go across to here. So it's pretty small, this thing. Who knows how big it is? And those, incidentally, those reptilian skulls that I showed in the previous video that I pointed out, one of them's here, just here, and the other one is down here. And this is the one with a row of teeth here. It's got a row of teeth just there. So that gives you an idea where to look. Now, some of these interesting things were up on top of this ridge here. So we just go along the top of the ridge to this weird bit up the top here with some bright sand. This thing's been pointed out by someone else, so I don't claim to have found this thing here. Other people have already noted this. Okay, this thing's weird. And not only is this very weird, it's got like an eye structure here or some weird structure in it. It's got some very interesting little details and parts to it. So this looks like some kind of construction here that's broken and smashed. And then we have this really weird thing up here. Now this to me looks very odd. And when you take clips of it and sharpen it up a bit and increase the contrast, like I've done, it's very, very strange indeed. And not only that, we have this thing here. Now what the hell's this? We have this kind of rock, this bluish rock here with this kind of brownish rock sticking out of the side of it. It doesn't make any visual sense at all. Now I appreciate that there's less gravity on Mars, about a third of Earth's. So some of these things do stick out in an odd way and they don't fall apart like you would expect them to because of the less gravity. But this was just really weird, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's anything significant, but it just looks very, very odd indeed to me. And then we have this thing at the top here, this strange mound with some really odd looking things on it. It's got these kind of weird spiky parts up here, and this here looks like some kind of weird animalistic shaped thing, Now this is probably just rock, okay? But it's very, very strange, and I'll show you in a second. And then we've got this thing here, which looks like it's got two eye sockets here. So this may be part of burial, or maybe part of some kind of statue or something. I don't know. I really don't know with this one. It's very, very strange. What I'm going to do, I'll show you the clips I've got in here because they make a bit more sense. There's that thing, structure or rock structure, with these kind of splits in it. It's kind of split into three, and it's got this weird kind of almost eye-shaped thing here with a very black part in the center, like an iris almost. But I'm not saying this is an eye, I'm just saying it's shaped like one. And then we've got these weird little details in here, little parts coming round, and there's like a little part here coming across and joining onto this bit. I mean, these are really weird. This looks like some sort of weird construction, and we've even got like a part here, like a hinge almost, joined, or something kind of joined into this bit here, just here. Really odd. I really don't know what to make of that. And we've got this strange thing on the side of it. Very, very odd indeed. And people are rightly quite perplexed about this. Can't really work out what it's supposed to be. I mean, it looks like a rock, but as we know with a lot of these things on Mars, they're not just rocks. Some of them are parts of machinery, structures, people, animals, fossilized creatures and mummified creatures, all sorts of things. Vehicles, weapons, reinforced concrete, parts of things that are broken, shattered parts of statues all over the place. There's all sorts of weird stuff. That was weird, so I don't know what that is. That other thing I was showing you just then, I'll show a close-up of it because this is extraordinary. This is that kind of big mound up on the top of the ridge. Not only is it a very strange kind of colour, some of this, it's kind of, you've got some greens and sort of interesting colours in here. But you've got this kind of weird texture to it, almost like it's not even rock, like it's something softer. It's got this kind of hairy, kind of organic look to it. Now, what this may be, and we've got these weird pointy structures up here. Now, what this reminded me of is those kind of, when you go on holiday and you go to the beach and they've done those sort of sand sculptures, you know, you get the sort of people on the beach, they do them, and people just donate $1 or, you know, or a couple of euros to them for doing it, you know, and they have a little collection, and then they have these huge sculptures, often of famous people and castles and that kind of thing, and things from Game of Thrones and God knows what. And that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me kind of one of those kind of beach sculptures, sand sculptures, where you've got these kind of like details up here. But then it almost like some kind of monster or something here. I mean, I can't work out what it is. What I think it is, well, what I think it could be, is some kind of growth on this rock. This is a strange rock formation with some kind of plant material growing up, like moss or something. That's getting close. You see these colours and textures here? Now, obviously I've sharpened this and enhanced it a little bit, but not much. And then we got this weird thing here with what look like two eye sockets on it as well, like a buried head or statue part or grave marker or something, who knows. And then these triangular things seem to have an eye just there. I mean, this stuff's insane. What are we looking at? Is it some kind of burial or tomb or something that's got some weird carvings on it? Who knows? But to me, it looks very, very strange. I don't really know what it is. Perhaps some of you out there might actually be able to work out what we're looking at here. So let me show again where to look for that on here. There it is. Let me zoom out. Now, it almost looks like this was all part of one structure. Zoom right out so you know where to look. There, it's on top of this mound, the ridge, towards the left side, okay? Centre left. So it's by this thing, this marker here. We got a marker to follow, so you can actually just follow that and you'd be there. But basically what I think all this is part of one structure. Because if you look carefully, some of this sand looks like it's fake. Now, I'm not saying it is fake, but it looks like it's fake, maybe because there's not enough detail to actually show the texture of it, I don't know. but it looks very odd. It almost looks like it's been pasted over something, and it's very flat, and there's no sort of depth to it, if you know what I mean. It looks like it's been painted on. It really does. So I do wonder whether this part here, this here, is actually part of this thing behind, and this sand looks like it's been painted over it. And there's another part of it here, structure, and this is also part of it here. It's because this, if you look carefully, this lines right up here with that, and it almost looks joined there, as if someone's trying to cover some of this up or paste it out with the fake sand. And then the structure would have come right along to here, and this may have joined up to here. So is this an example of fake sand? It certainly looks very odd. It really does look odd. There was also this thing. Now, I didn't find this. I think one or two other people have spotted this. I think Martine Graney posted this the other day on one of the Mars sites, like on Facebook, I think, Martian Genesis perhaps. But I've also seen other people post it as well. This is a block of concrete, and you can clearly see here where it was part of something, just here, like this could have been part of a door, above a door or window, or part of a building or structure. Now, there are loads and loads of fragments like this all over Mars in this area, and there were buildings here, and they've been shattered and blown to bits, and there's fragments of concrete and parts of buildings all over the place, mostly in parts like this. Okay, there was also this thing. Now this to me looks like part of some Stone Age, almost not Stone Age, but ancient plumbing. Now I know it looks like a rock, but if you look here, it has a pipe coming out. This is a pipe. Now if you go to ancient sites, places like Ephesus in Turkey, and ancient Greek and ancient Roman sites all over Europe and North Africa, like I have, you see things like this all over the place. They basically had stone plumbing. Later on, they used lead pipes. That's why partly why they think the Romans were so warlike and a bit round the twist, because they had lead poisoning. But basically, stone pipes were constructed out of blocks, and then you'd have a carved sort of pipe section at the bottom here, and the water would just flow through, or a sort of semicircular part. So it'd be like a drainage pipe, or a pipe going to a bath, or see, there's some interesting structures in here. So this may be concrete, a lot of this stuff. I've found evidence of actual concrete blocks and stuff, and you can actually see where the concrete has been constructed. Probably joined to a bath or some kind of building. This may be a part of a drain, or an inflow or outflow pipe to feed a bath or something like that. Okay? I mean, they must have had facilities in this area for there to be people there. There were obviously buildings up on the mountain. The buttes are very ruined and don't look in very good shape, and are blown to pieces by the looks of it. Please go over to my channel page here, and please subscribe to my new channel. This is my backup channel. Okay, it's called Space Detective 1. Lots of interesting finds on that channel, which are very similar to these, of course. And I often post things on that channel which are related to ones on this channel, so people can cross-reference them at the same time. Okay, so thanks for watching. See you soon.